Welcome everyone to this week's review and preview of the Wexford football. We're going to start by going through last week's results in the Premier Division and the FAI Junior Cup. Tonight I have Nicky and John with me. Jay's away romancing for the night, I think. So maybe he'll be back next week if he's allowed. We'll start off with the Premier Division. The first game saw Campoyle draw 2-2 at home to Clabon. And the second game was a 1-0 home victory for Moyne over Bunclody. So we'll go to the Campoyle-Clabon game first. Nicky, what's your thoughts on that one?
Well, I think the result does nothing for either team really. Both Campoyle 100% would have wanted to have picked up 3 points at home, as we put it down as a 6-pointer. So for them to drop 2 points at home, I'm sure they were disappointed. A point away for Clabon, they mightn't be too disappointed about it because they'll be still thinking Campoyle have to head down to their patch later in the year. But overall, it doesn't suit either team for me anyway, to be just picking up a point in that. I'm sure, as I said there earlier on, I'm sure Clabon would have preferred to have picked up, or Campoyle should I say, would prefer to have picked up the 3 points at home, especially now that they're getting back to full strength. And so it just gives them to them a little bit more of a tough battle.
John?
Yeah, the same, I suppose. 3 points for either team would have been massive, like that 1 point sort of, while both teams happy not to be beaten. I think it's a game both teams would have been targeting 3 points there. I should have done my research really. You didn't hear how the score actually went in the game, did you?
No, it was 1-1 and then obviously 2-1, but I think
Campoyle.
2-1 Campoyle. So
late equaliser, you don't know.
So I don't know when the last one was scored, but it doesn't really matter when it's scored. It's just disappointing. I'd say Campoyle would be disappointed to concede 2 because Clabon weren't scoring a whole lot of goals. I'm sure that they would have liked to have held on for the 3
I suppose
points.
both teams familiar with each other from last year as well, so I think Clabon actually delayed Campoyle celebrations with a draw, I think near the end of Division 1 last year, so I suppose the familiarity with both teams is always going to be a close game,
Yeah.
Right, so we'll move on then to the second game was the Moyne 1-0 victory against Bunclody. So John, I'll let you talk about that first before.
Yeah, I suppose like just to get to 3 points, and we'd been shipping a lot of goals lately, so it tightened up a bit. Didn't really give up many chances bar one scare at the end. Shane Franklin nearly got in, but we probably should have had the game put to bed by then. We had 3 or 4 good chances really, and when they say chanting, like it's to square the ball to get that tap in, or be happy enough with the performance, going the right direction, but definitely need to be way more clinical. And I suppose as the second half went on, and never felt that they were going to score, but then in the last 5 minutes, that's when we were a bit nervous. But in fairness, although we were a bit nervous on the line, I don't think the players felt like that. I think they were fairly well in control.
What's your thoughts on Bunclody?
Yeah, look, the set up to really limit us, and stop us from playing, and probably we're a bit vulnerable at the moment. That it's hard to know. Look, they nearly got a result out of it, so I think they will be happy. But if I was them, I think we were there to be got at maybe a bit more Sunday. That they probably could have been a bit more adventurous from the start at least, and then tailor the plan that way. I think they'll have enough to stay in the division anyway, and I don't know if they can. Probably need to be a bit more adventurous if they want to progress further up the table than they have in the last couple of years,
Nicky, you saw the first half?
I seen most of it. To be honest, I thought it was a terrible game to watch. Especially I thought it was just very, very scrappy. I commented about the Moyne playing like that the first year, the first game of the season against Rovers. It's not a Moyne performance that you're used to. Maybe it goes back to the pitch. The pitch was absolutely shocking. The length of the grass, it's terrible, and nobody enjoys going up to the Moyne. For that reason, the pitch is poor. Moyne are up there with the very best footballing team, and for when you hear them saying that they'd rather play away from home, it says something. Like cutting the grasses should be a minimal effort, really. Other than that, the game, as I said, Bunclody were scrappy. They were getting in their face. They picked up, I think it was 4 yellow cards in the first half. I thought 1 or 2 of them were borderline, especially one of them in the last couple of minutes of the first half. I think Biz swept one of the lads down like it was pretty raw tackle. But Bunclody went up looking for a draw. The scrappy pitch, they made it tough. They man-marked the 2 pairs. So they tried to take it out of it. But on the Moyne, like that 1-0 win will bring him confidence. If you went out and bet Bunclody 5 or 6-0, he'd have been saying, look, we're back. Do you know, now at least the Moyne and Aidan and yourselves have something to work on training during the week. You say, lads, we're not nearly where we should be. Because I think if he's at the bet Bunclody, it'll paper over a few cracks that are just
big time, and
that are there. Like
it's about just getting those few wins and getting the momentum going again, and just everything, you know. Just getting that passing going, just our game. I said, like we take that on the pitch, like can be difficult. I think our that we give out to our lads when they're complaining about, because it's the same for both teams on the day. But
all teams are not as good as football and issues. Like I've seen yous absolutely crucify teams on a perfect pitch. You know, and like you play these little triangles, like very little clubs in Ireland in junior level play. Yous are well able to do it. It always surprised me that the grass was so long up there, up in the Moynes pitch, when it used to suit our lads a little bit, because we used to like to try and play the ball over the top, and the grass would always hold the ball up for us. You know, like when we were, that was the way we always used to try and catch yous. Yous come at us, we catch us on a counter attack, knock the ball long. We knew the grass was going to hold up for us. And saying that, yous are like, it was a clean sheet that you spoke about, that you hadn't kept for a while. You got a goal. Liam Evans scored a goal, wasn't it? Lee Jordan. I always call him Evan. Lee Jordan. That was a great goal. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic goal. Outside the box, in off the post. He left chap with no chance. But I think, John, you're 100% right as well in Bunclody. They should have really went at that game, because that was a point or 2 or 3 points that they could have picked up off of the Moyne, because you were coming into it a little bit low in confidence. Things hadn't gone your way in the first couple of games, and if they'd have really went for the juggler and they'd have got a goal or 2 up in the first half, they'd have really asked questions of your lads, you know, and nerves do creep in. And I'd say, now I missed the last few minutes of it, I'd say he's probably did fall back a little bit, trying to protect that 1-0 lead, and that's a natural reaction, you know. So, but it's a massive 3 points. It jumps you up the table pretty quick. So and he's a Valencia Junior Cup weekend this weekend, so it gives you that chance to try and bed things down and get things moving again. Pa O'Shea's a massive loss for you.
Oh yeah, look, unfortunately, so the injury happened, like a lot of serious injuries happen so harmless, like, you know, I didn't even realise, just fell over, put his hand out, and done the ligament in his thumb that needs the operation. So
he'd be Paz right up there with the likes of Ian Sinnott as a marking centre half. I think he's really up there with the best team. Decky Downs, even though Decky's not playing this year, but Ian Sinnott, them type of a player, they're quite similar in what they do.
So that's the 2 games that were in the Premier Division. The table is looking, obviously there's not much difference in it. Shamrocks, North End and Gorey all on 10 points, followed by Cortown on 6, and then you have Rosslare, Moyne and Bunclody on 4. Wexford Bows, Fort Celtic on 3, and then Campile and Clavon on 2. So all fairly tight after between 3 and 5 games played. And the majority of the results from last week were in the Leinster Junior Cup. The Wexford teams had mixed fortunes in the cup. Cortown won 7-2 away to Dolman. Freebooters had a 3-0 victory away to Shamrock Rovers. Crediard had a 2-1 victory away to Cora. North End had a big win away to Collection 11-5. Wexford Bows had a good win at home to Corclough 5-2. Bridge United from Gorse Bridge beat Crossbeg 4-2. Gorey Rangers had a big 6-1 win at home to Vale Wanderers, and New Park came away with a 4-2 victory away to Bridge Rovers. So Nicky, I know you were at the Rovers game. We'll probably start with that one.
Well, I seen the highlights. I didn't get to see much of it, but look, I'm here to give me honest opinion. And while I find it hard to criticise the Rovers lads, the performance on Sunday is not where it should be. I look back over the highlights of the goals. Like I'm sure my own brother-in-law Sean Miller, he'd be absolutely gutted the ball that went over his head, should I say? But even looking across that line, the back four were all over the place, which is very unusual for Rovers, and especially for Sean Miller to be missing the ball in the air like that, because that's his bread and butter all day. Then the second goal, I think Peter Higgins just walked from midfield. There wasn't a tackle put on him.
Yeah.
He went into the box. There was 2 more tackles missed on him, and then he blasted the ball from 6 yards out. That shouldn't happen. And then Garfield in the goal. Well, Garfield has been ever reliable for Rovers for the last 9-10 years. He got kind of caught underneath the ball and flapped at it, and your man was there with a free header. So there are 3 goals that shouldn't be conceded by Rovers. I'm sure they're not happy that they conceded them goals, because I know for a fact, after being in that dressing room with them boys, they pride themselves on clean sheets and things like that. But it goes back to this FAI Leinster Junior Cup team thing that I've been saying. Very, very few clubs take it serious. Do you know, like there's, for me, and this is just there's only one club in Wexford that is capable of winning an FAI or Leinster Junior Cup or take it serious enough, and it's North End. And while Gorey Rangers, Courtown had good wins in it, I don't think it'll affect them if they get knocked out, and that's being realistic. It'll affect the North End lads if they're knocked out. It'll hurt them, but I don't think it really affects any of the other clubs, like these FAI and especially these earlier rounds. It was a great win for Courtown down against Dolman Celtic to win 7-2. You lads know more about Dolman. You came out of it unlucky this year seemingly, but it was a good win for them. They're into the next round. And North End score 11, concede 5. They are conceding goals. It's a lot of goals they've conceded. Like, to concede 5 goals and still win a game.
Yeah.
It's an unusual scoreline. You don't see that every day of the week.
Just on the Rovers game, I wasn't just looking at the highlights, but it seemed up till that first goal that Rovers were well on top. Like, that sort of one misjudgment turned the whole tide of the game in a way, did it?
Well, the highlights can show it,
Yeah.
but from talking to the lads, they said that they didn't get going from the start. But they said the freebooters were a decent side.
Yeah.
Everything went through Peter Higgins. They're not too bad. I was talking to Lar Sutton, and Lar was telling me that it was a very good standard towards the first game that he videoed that day.
Yeah.
He said the game of football was good, but our lads Rovers should be fucking beating freebooters at home in the Leinster Junior Cup. If they're taking an FAI Leinster Juniors serious, they should be beating freebooters at home, and they shouldn't be conceding the kind of goals that they conceded. But so hopefully that's out of their way now, out of their system, and they'll have to knuckle down now.
Gorey had another big win, 6-1 at home.
Yeah, you'd always fancy Gorey at home. For me anyway, you'd always have to fancy Gorey at home. I remember they brought Sheriff down to penalties a couple of years ago when Sheriff were right at their peak. They lost it on the penalty shootout. So, like, Gorey are workmanlike. You get the same out of them week in, week out. Whether they can change it up now when they come up against the bigger teams, the better teams, we wait and see. But I expected Gorey to win that quite comfortably, and they lived up to it. So and a good win for Bohs actually, to be picking up. They might be getting a few lads, although I hear Dermy Flood might be a loss to him. I hear he's after being called into the county senior football team, so he could be a loss.
Definitely, yeah. If he's gone, yeah, Dermy. No, I suppose like myself and you were just talking when we seen there was Courtown got the winner, Dolman, who knocked us out, and just based on our performance that day, we would have expected Courtown to go up there and win. Like we knew they'd have the goals, and put in 7 goals away from home is still impressive. And they're in decent form and continuing that, you know. I suppose just on Nicky's point, I'd say just on the FAIs and Leinsters, like I'd say all the top teams like don't go out to lose the games, but definitely the outside competitions seem to be like number one on North End's list, while there will be number two or that behind the
I think
Wexford
there'll be
ones.
number 3 on it really.
Yeah.
You have a Wexford League, you have a Wexford Cup, and
Yeah.
then you have an outside competition. That was my take on it when we were managing Shamrock Rovers. I always would have liked to have went further in them, but it was.
It's just hard.
And just from the outside looking in at the other clubs, I don't think.
Yeah.
I often hear other managers saying, "Oh, sure, it gives me an opportunity to change the team up, throw them into the Leinster Juniors, the FAIs." But you don't see North End doing that.
And Rovers, they make
So
changes.
Rovers made changes, a few as well, but they didn't weaken it by anybody that they brought in really. Like
It's giving people
now,
again that we're back.
they were unlucky to lose Ricky. Ricky picked up a little small knee injury, but I don't think it's too serious. But I think he's out for another couple of weeks again after that.
Okay. Ricky Fox, is it? Or
Ricky Fox, yeah.
Any other game you want that?
No, not now. I suppose Bowes, they'll be happy with the win there and buys them another week. Then again, I suppose with the intermediate football still dragging on, so they'll have another fixture in that away from league action. So, no, that's it really.
Yeah, that's all the Junior Cup games. This week sees the Leinster Junior Cup taken over. There are a number of fixtures for lots of the Wexford teams, and there's two games in the Premier Division. We'll have a little chat about the Junior Cup games first. In round 1, actually, Moyne Rangers' second team are playing the refixture away to Avonmore. That game was called off in the first round. New Ross Celtic are at home to Freebooters. Moyne Rangers are home to Bridge Rovers. Rosslare welcome Usher Celtic. And Rosslare, a long drive for them. Shamrock Rovers are at home to Kilree Celtic. Crossabeg at home to Parkville. Glenbarntown at home to Shankill. And Coretown are travelling all the way up to Dublin Airport to play Dublin Airport. So actually, apart from Bridge Rovers and Coretown, all the Wexford teams are playing at home this weekend. And Moyne Rangers' second team, actually. I'll go to John first. Which ones catch your eye there, John?
Yeah, I suppose, look, outside our own game, I suppose to be interested, to 1 year we did get a good run in the FAI and got to the last 16. Usher put us out with a controversial retake and penalty last kick of the game, so it'll be interesting to see how they fare and the long trip down to Rosslare. I think Usher are gone Leinster Senior League now. A couple of the same as Sheriff, they've left the AOL, haven't they?
I think so, yeah. As far as I know, yeah. They're hopping from leagues up there, aren't they, at the minute? You know, I think it's very unsteady in Dublin at the minute.
I think Ross Celtic already played Freebooters in the other competition as well, like, so Freebooters are getting plenty of run-outs against extra teams. I suppose our own game then, I suppose we know Bridge Rovers fairly well from other years, so it's a good opportunity for us to keep the winning run going. I think, you know, we're looking to build on last week and try and be a bit more clinical.
For me, as we said, we haven't really spoke about Rosslare Rangers at all. It's as if they're forgotten about at the minute because they haven't been on the radar anywhere. So for them to get a nice plum draw home to Usher, we brought them down the same year, knocked Jews out. We knocked them out in the FA or in the Leinster Junior Cup. I think it was the week after we played. But they had several Irish junior internationals, Usher. So and they arrived down like a professional outfit that night. They pulled up on a 56-seater bus and one by one in their tracksuits they hopped out. So it'll be interesting for us there to see where they're pitted against the likes of that. And if they pick up a result in that should bring them on leaps and bounds for the rest of the year. Rosslare Rangers are always tough to play against. I know when Adrian was over him, they set up with a 4-5-1, but they were hard working, they were regimental, and they made it very difficult. Rovers, I'd expect them to be winning that one comfortable enough. So I think they're Division 2 side, but I'd expect the lads, and look, it'd be a great way for them to come back. They couldn't have picked a kind of a nicer fixture to come back after getting beaten last week. to come into this one at home again. It'll give them an opportunity to make a couple of changes, as we spoke about already. But there's nothing really there in the Leinster Junior this week that really get you excited about. So Cortown, another tough away trip, but
It'll be interesting to see the results. Like, at least a lot of Wexford teams are home, so that gives them an advantage with all the other teams travelling. So fingers crossed, lots of the Wexford teams get through that round too. So next up then is there's two Premier Division games this weekend. North End at home to Fort Celtic, and Wexford Bows at home to Campoyle. So North End, they're scoring lots of goals. You think that will continue this week against Fort Celtic?
I do. I can't see nothing other than a 3 or 4-0 win for North End. They just seem to be, since I criticised them about not creating and not scoring, I think they've scored nearly 30 goals in their last 4 games. So what do I know? But I can't see that changing a whole lot this week. Now I think they'll be too strong. Fort Celtic haven't played much over the last few weeks. So I don't. North End are just ticking along, and they can make changes to whatever team they want. They have players there to bring in and out. So I can see it being 3 or 4-0 to North End. North End going to Fort Celtic is always a little bit different, but North End in Belvedere, I think it's going to be a comfortable win for John and Gary on the day.
Yeah, I think the same. Yeah, and in these sort of matches, North End have the knack as well of just getting those goals in the first half to really putting the tie to rest, and then they can take the foot off or go for the juggler in the second half, whatever they see fit. So just a comfortable North End win. I'd expect them to be knocking in at least another 4 or 5 again, probably to form they're in. But and I suppose as we touched on earlier, I'd say John and Gary are just be looking to get that clean sheet maybe to go with it this week. That's be the cherry on top for them. But look, they'll still get the 3 points. That's all they're interested in, and move on to the next one. I think
it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Leinster Senior Cup. Actually, see will North End get reinstated as not Bohemians in Dublin have pulled out seemingly. So I know Gary wasn't too happy on social media there about it. So it'll be interesting to see what way that goes. For North End as well, it would be lovely to get reinstated for him to be in a Leinster Senior Cup semi-final. It'd be a great day for Wexford soccer, never mind just North End as a football club.
Yeah, do you think Bows somehow will be able to fill 2 more fixtures if semi-final and final if they got to it alright, so it's bad form for them pulling out, so the other league game then is Bows and Campoyle.
Bows and Campoyle, we expecting that one to be a little bit more competitive, I think, John.
Yeah, I suppose I'd say it'll be a tight game. I don't think there'll be too much between the sides. I suppose Campoyle will be disappointed not getting the win last week. Bows getting a couple of wins going in the outside competitions, and I suppose they'll be under a bit of pressure maybe in a way. They're looking to get that win, get going back up the league. So don't know, I'd say it's a tight game, but I might just give Bows a nod maybe in a 2-1 or something like that, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd kind of, all depends on what Bows go out.
Yeah.
Like we know now what Campoyle are going to be about. Horswood are finishing the football. We know that they're going to be hard working, they're going to be competitive. If Bows are able to match them for the fight, you'd expect Bows maybe to come out on top with the football wise, but I can see it being a draw. I can see that one being a draw, 1-1 or 2-2, something like that. But I don't think there's going to be a massive amount in it.
Draw won't really suit any of the teams.
No, it won't. Like Bow shouldn't really be looking over the shoulder. They should be looking about knocking into the top 4, especially after winning the cup last year. The confidence should be running through them, but kind of like North End, or kind of like the Mine, if it doesn't be long to see a little bit of confidence drain out of lads if you don't pick up a result in the first game or two into a new season, and lads start thinking hard done by. If Wexford Bows fall into that, it could be a long season for them, and that's a tough game. Like for Bowes pitch, it wouldn't be the biggest pitch in the world. It's going to be heavy.
Yeah.
It's going to suit a lot of the Campile players, you know. So that's why I'm edging for a draw there on that one.
That's all the fixtures for this Sunday coming. We might not be here next week as there's no fixtures with the FAI Junior Cup final on in the Aviva, or with the FAI Senior Cup final on in the Aviva between Shamrock Rovers and Dundalk.